Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you today. Oh, good grief, what a weekend. Man, the last 2 weekends have been outstanding as far as games are concerned. Now, if you took a big loss, it's not very much fun. I can tell you, the Ohio State fans, oh my gosh, it is just, I told you 2 days ago and leading up the whole week that if they lost that game, it would be devastating. They were favored by 3 touchdowns, and we're going to get all into that, but good gosh, I didn't see that coming. And Miami, of course, they crapped the bed. That's what Miami couldn't stand the success they had. Had a 3-touchdown lead. We're going to talk about that. And then all the other games, Alabama, the Iron Bowl, South Carolina beating Clemson, Tennessee handling Vandy after a horrible start, and all the other games and everything that happened this weekend. All right, I got to start out with the Ohio State-Michigan game. That was shocking. They were a 3-touchdown favorite at home. Michigan has lost 5 games this year. They've really not been very good at all. They have no offense, none. Can't throw the ball, can run a little bit, and they got some good defense, and that's about it. All their players went to the NFL or hightailed it after the whole Connor Stallions sign-stealing scandal.
The sign-stealer guy.
Lost all their coaches but one, and they're under NCAA investigation, which they're going to get hammered. There's no way they're not. But Ohio State needed to have some revenge, and they did. I can't believe it, folks. And the fire Ryan Day scenario and chant is getting loud. I'll give you prime examples.
Fire Ryan Day.
It's the worst moment of my life. You got to fire Ryan Day. You can't lose 4 times in a row. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's pretty much all over. Now, of course, that was during the game, so of course they're distraught. But it was even worse on YouTube and other places.
And he's going to bring his son. It's going to be a great experience. And Michigan has robbed us. Actually, Ryan Day has robbed us as a family of that valuable family bonding time the last 4 years. We can't even go to Indianapolis in the Big Ten championship game and enjoy some family time because Ryan Day craps the bed, pees down his leg every year versus Michigan.
Yep, and Matt B. Great wasn't real thrilled with Ryan Day. He's been after firing Ryan Day for a long time. Here was his reaction.
Y'all remember 3 years ago when I told you Ryan Day should have been fired? And I told you 2 years ago? And I told you last year? Where y'all at? I've been telling you he should have been fired. Ohio State fans, one day in the comment section, you're going to write, Matt B. Great was right.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there.
Do you see these eyes? I don't even know what to say. I'm dead inside. This is the most embarrassed I've ever been watching a team I'm a fan of. We got dominated on the line of scrimmage, at least on offense. Couldn't move the ball, run the ball at all. For some reason, Chip Kelly was insistent we try to run the ball, even though it never worked. This is the most pathetic performance I've ever seen. I came in the season saying, I will give unconditional support to Ryan Day for this year. I will believe in him again for this year, even though I had no reason to. He given me every reason not to. I said, I'm a loyal guy. I'm going to ride with my guy. 20-point favorites at home to a team that has nothing going for them. 2 of their best players are out. And that's what you do. You lose 13-10 to a team without an offense. A team that could barely throw a forward pass. And you hand them the game on the silver platter. 2 brutal turnovers. Missing kicks. Just shitting your pants over and over again. I'll never recover from this. Fire Ryan Day yesterday.
And here's Ryan's response to all of that.
You're through! Do you hear me? Through! You'll never work in this town again!
Don't leave me hanging by a thread. Let me know where I stand.
Yeah, he's not there yet. I tell you, whew, man, that's rough. Now, they're not out of the playoff, so I know everybody's distraught right now because it's Michigan. That's what it really boils down to. If this were any other team, they'd have been okay. They'd been like, okay, we're still in the playoff. Let's not get down. Let's not do any of that. But it's just a mess. It really is because of who beat them. And, of course, they had the big fight after the game because Michigan in a show of real class, went out to try to plant their flag out in the middle of their football field, right on their Ohio State logo, right in front of everybody. So, of course, you know Ohio State's going to freak out over that. So Michigan is just literally pouring salt, tons of salt into the wound right after the loss. So they were asking for a fight, and they got one. So just a big mess. They've got 3 weeks to recover, though. They're not going to be playing in the conference title game against Oregon. And I think they're going to be playing Tennessee is who I think it'll be. And it'll probably either going to be at Neyland or it's going to be up in Ohio State. And there's an argument for either way. This is how FanSided's got it. This is just a preliminary. We won't know until Tuesday, I believe at 7 o'clock. They've got Oregon 1, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia 5, Tennessee 6. They moved Ohio State to 7, then SMU, Indiana, etc. However, you would think that if you're number 6 or number 7, you're in as far as a home game. That's not how this works. Remember, the College Football Playoff Committee set up this socialist type thing to where teams that really don't deserve buys and don't deserve to be highly ranked get to be ranked that way because of the conference championship and all that crap.
Everyone likes me and thinks I'm great in my safe space.
My safe space.
So this was the setup last week. Of course, it'll change. But you've got these teams like, see, Miami lost, and they were at number 3. You would think that would automatically move up a Tennessee. No, because you're going to move some other team that's not worthy into this position from the ACC because feelings and participation trophies and things like that. Boise State, for example, gets to be number 4, even though they're Boise State, and they don't deserve to be number 4 spot, but they're going to get it because, again, feelings. So we're going to have all kinds of weird crap happen. Tennessee sitting at number 9 last week. 2 teams in front of them lost. You would think they'd move to 7 and get a home game. I don't think that's going to happen. They're not going to be right here because, again, you've got all this nonsense. So we'll see what happens. I believe it's either going to be, again, Ohio State at 8, Tennessee at 9, or vice versa, Tennessee at 8, Ohio State at 9. So I think that's who they're going to play. Now, there's still plenty of conference championship games. You've got Georgia versus Texas, Oregon versus Penn State. And if either one of those lose, I don't see them pushing them back into a away game in the playoff because I don't think they want to punish them for playing in a conference championship. And then you've got the ACC and the Big 12 and the Group of 5 and all that crap. So anyway, that was the biggest upset. The other upset was Miami versus Syracuse. Miami's sitting there with a 21-point lead. Somehow figure out a way to lose. I don't know what it is about Miami. They've been messing around all year long. They really lost to Virginia Tech, but the rest gave them the game because they reversed a call. And they've had several other games where they've gone into the fourth quarter and it looked like they were just going to crap the bed, and they managed to get a victory. Well, Georgia Tech beat them, and now Syracuse is beating them. So I think they're out. I just think Miami's out. You can't have 2 losses, not win the ACC Conference Championship, and stay in the 12-team playoff. So I think they're gone, which is going to make room for either an Alabama or a South Carolina. Now, the Vols, they took care of Vandy after the worst start you could ever possibly imagine. The first 5 minutes, we're down 14-0. But then after that, it was just Katie bar the door. Tennessee just literally beat the crap out of Vandy from that point forward. They scored about 30 unanswered points pretty much. And Tennessee had 538 yards. Vandy only had 212. It was just a dominant performance all the way around. We ran the ball for 281 yards. Nico was very efficient. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, threw for almost 300 yards, ran the ball beautifully. Nico is really coming into his own at the right time. And he's a redshirt freshman, so you would expect that, just that progression. Now we're going to talk about South Carolina and Alabama. Who's going to get that final spot? And it's a conundrum. Because I think the hottest team in the country right now is probably South Carolina. They've won 6 in a row. They've got a really good defense. And Lenore Sellers keeps improving. Man, can that guy run. He's not the greatest thrower of the ball. His fundamentals are still not there. He's only a freshman, redshirt freshman. So he needed another year, but I'll tell you what, I can understand why they couldn't keep him off the field because, man, when he takes off of that ball, and there's nobody harder to tackle than him. At 245, 250 pounds or whatever it is, it's not an arm tackle. You better really get him. But here's the thing. They lost to Alabama head up, and that's going to be a major issue. Even though I think if they played on a neutral field, I think South Carolina would get them. But here's what's creaking South Carolina, that LSU game. I watched that game. South Carolina won it. They just flat out did. They won that ball game. The rest gave it to LSU. You may disagree with that, but, I mean, the game I watched, there were so many bad calls, and there were just horrible calls. Game-changing calls. Literally, the game was over at one point on a pick six, and they called some stupid block in the back. So South Carolina's probably going to get creaked out of this. Plus, Alabama's got the name, and it's the biggest name.
My Alabama Crimson Tide.
And if you know anything about the college football playoff, name matters. You know, you saw FSU get kicked out last year and Alabama put in. That's probably what you're going to see here again. There's something to that name and that logo, and it's a big deal. You win 6 natties over the last 15 years or whatever it is that Nick Saban did. I mean, they're relying on Nick Saban's reputation right now to get them in, and I think it's going to do it because Alabama's been very spotty. You know, their offense is totally dependent on Jalen Milroe running the ball, not really throwing, and they're just not disciplined like the Nick Saban teams of the past. Now, Kalen DeBoer, I think, is a good coach, but, you know, when you compare a DeBoer to it's just nobody compares to the GOAT. So it looks to me like Alabama's going to get that final spot, which that's just got to burn South Carolina to no end. And you look back to that LSU game, and they had a chance to beat Alabama on the road, and they came really close. They just kind of blew it there at the end. So that's kind of how things are going to go there. So what I see right here is Ohio State and Tennessee being right there. Just move them right here. Notre Dame's in. We'll see what happens with Georgia and Texas. Miami, you're gone. Penn State's going to be playing Oregon right here. We'll see how that goes. Neither one of them is going to get kicked out. Indiana, they're going to get in. They beat the worst team in the country as far as the Power Four, which was Purdue. Their schedule is a joke, but they've only lost one ball game. And they've beaten the crap out of the teams that they needed to beat up on. So Indiana's going to get in. And we'll find out Tuesday exactly how this is going to play out. But, man, what a weekend. It wasn't as crazy as the weekend before, but this one had a lot going for it. And the Georgia game was a huge one. Georgia Tech had them 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left and lost that ball game. So that had a huge role in this playoff because that would have put out – Georgia would have been out. They'd have been gone. So that definitely plays a role. Matter of fact – No, they wouldn't have been because Georgia would have automatically been in the SEC game no matter what because that wouldn't have been an SEC loss. So anyway, wanted to go over the weekend, talk about that a little bit. Ryan Day's having a bad day. But you're still in the playoff, Ohio State. I know this is brutal, and I have really carried some water for Ryan Day. I thought he was getting a bad rap. But, man, this is a tough one. I can't really defend him on it. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. Subscribe button doesn't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. Dang it, I'm losing my voice because I was screaming at the VOLS in that first quarter.